Hey, you guys, it's day one of the Forward Focus 21. 21 days to set focus and propel you into destiny fast. Now, listen, it was not my intention to go without food all day. That was not my intention. Okay. It was not my intention to not eat until after 8 o'clock. That was not my intention, right? But that's what happened, y'all. Listen, Linda, listen. When I tell you that this was a setup by God, that's absolutely what it was. Look, let me know who's here. Who's here? Who's tuning in? Let me see you. Let me know that you're here. Hold on. Listen, I'm trying to see, is it working? Does it work? All right, you guys. So some of you will probably catch this on the replay, whether you catch it tonight or whether you catch it tomorrow or somewhere else further down the line of the facts, right? It's day one and it's real. All right. So I'm going to talk about day one. Day one deals with the P purge. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to read it. I'm going to talk about it and just share whatever it is that God has for me to share with you. Okay. Day one, purge. Remove my impurities. Therefore, the Lord of heaven's armies, the mighty one of Israel says, I will take revenge on my enemies and pay back my foes. I will raise my fist against you. I will melt you down and skim off your slag. I will remove all your impurities. Then I will give you good judges again and wise counselors like you used to have. Then Jerusalem will again be called the home of justice and the faithful city. Isaiah 1:24 through 26. Now, let me tell y'all something. This is the beautiful thing about this entire process, right? The beautiful thing about it. I'm going to let them have a peek, y'all. I'm going to let them have a peek. Hold on. I'm just going to let them have a peek. All right. After this, there's no more peaks. Oh my goodness. Listen, we're on a mission. We're moving, right? We're moving. So I'm just going to help them transition. The reality is that the purge costs. During the pandemic, due to the coronavirus or COVID 19, we saw a lot of loss. We saw many lives lost. We saw many businesses lost. We saw education as we know it lost. And the list continues to go on and on. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that Corona was a judgment from God, but I am saying that He allowed it. It's time for us to stop assuming that God only works in the things that we consider good. No, this God I know uses all things that we experience, all things that we encounter to accomplish His good and perfect will concerning us. So let's talk about the perfecting that God does in our lives. Perfect is defined in many ways. The Hebrew word for perfect is tamid. It means whole, entire, sound, and or complete. What we have to understand is that even in this passage, the scripture of Isaiah, even in this passage of scripture in Isaiah 1, some things had to be made whole again. You see, if you read before this text, starting at about verse 19, then you will see that God is having a whole conversation about his people, his land, and his way. What do I mean by his way? It's simple. God was responding to the actions of his people and their lack of adherence to what he gave them to protect them and prosper them. They were doing any and everything, and he needed them to understand that there were consequences for the choices that were being made. In fact, verse 19 starts with a blessing. He says that if you obey me, you will have plenty to eat or eat the good of the land in the King James Version. So if God started with a blessing, then how did we find ourselves in a place where he's talking about enemies and foes, revenge and payback, raising fists, melting down and skimming off? That's a lot going on right there. God desperately wanted to bless his people, but because of their disobedience and unwillingness to turn from the things people, and desires that took them out of his will, his hand was forced. Not forced to destroy them, but forced to turn up the heat on them so the dross or impurities could be brought up to the surface to be revealed and removed. You see, that's what purging is all about when we look at it. When you purge, you get rid of impurities or something that does not go well in your body. My daughter was about 6 months pregnant, but there were still times when she ate something and had to purge it. She didn't purge it because it didn't taste good to her or even because she was allergic to it. No, she ended up purging it because there was something about it that did not sit well with her pregnant body. The interesting thing was that she hated purging. She hates it with a passion, and if she could avoid it, then she definitely would. But here's the kicker: she had absolutely no control over when she purged. Catch that in the spirit. There are times when we likewise have no control over when we purge. Some purges are optional. We choose if and when we do them. However, during the pandemic, we were in a season of mandatory purge, mandatory stay at home, mandatory distancing, mandatory face your family, mandatory face your life, mandatory face yourself, which is also a mandatory face God. Now, what do you do when you must deal with the things you avoided? You must face the relationship problems you hid by working long hours to stay away from home and away from your mate. You must face your children and their learning when you relied on the teacher to fix that and fix them. What do? You purge. As we take this journey, it is fitting that we start day one with the thing that is probably most challenging in our journey: purging. So open up your mind, heart, and spirit. Begin to evaluate each of them and let go of the things that do not serve you. Let go of the things that you've been holding on to just in case one day you had the opportunity to use them. Get rid of the negativity that has plagued you and caused you to doubt who and whose you are. It will be gross, nasty, overwhelming, and frightening, but do it anyway. Purge until there is nothing left to get rid of. Empty yourself so that when you allow the God in you to refill you, there is room in your new wineskin. Although purging is challenging, it is a necessary part of your process. What better time to do it than right now? So let the purge begin. Today's word about purging is so important. You know, we have to be able to get rid of those things that are problematic, those things that are not working for us. We have to be able to do that. And the beautiful thing is the questions that come after. What is God calling you to purge, get rid of from your life? Why? 2, how has that thing or those things interfered with your ability to move forward into the destiny that God has prepared for you? 3, what are you going to do over the next 21 days to remove that thing or those things from your life, starting with something you can do today? 4, what is God speaking to you about this devotion and your 21-day journey today? And 5, find some scriptures that you can declare over your life and situation that remind God of his promises towards you and your ability to let go of, get rid of, and purge those things that have hindered you. The affirmation for today was, I freely release everything that does not belong in my mind, in my body, in my spirit, in my emotions, in my relationships, and in my finances. When you get ready, when you're willing and ready to let go of those things that God is calling you to let go of, those things that God is calling you to release, then God can fill you with all of the new that he desires to fill you with. And I don't know about you, but I'm ready for the new, the accelerated new, my new that is now. You know, I'm ready for it. And not only am I ready for it, I'm willing to do those things necessary and required in order to operate in it. One of the things that I know that I have to purge is some of the excess weight that I'm carrying, and I'm ready for it. You know, I've been doing intermittent fasting. I've been carb cycling. And well, now I won't necessarily be carb cycling, but I definitely will still be doing my intermittent fasting. And what I know is that in order to get rid of that which weighs you down, it requires you to lose some things that made you comfortable. Are you willing to lose some things that made you comfortable so that you can have access to the promises that God has for you. Today's live I shared on Facebook as well as in our community, but normally it won't be there. So if you haven't joined the community yet, join it because we're taking it off the book. Listen, you guys, I love you guys to life and life more abundant. Have an amazing, incredible, and epic rest of your day.